The Westford Conservation Commission meeting for January 8th, 2025. This meeting is being recorded by Westford Cable Access TV, and it's being broadcast live and recorded for playback online. By participating in this meeting, you are giving permission for the use of your audio and video during the broadcast. First item on the agenda is open forum. Do any members of the commission have something for open forum? Noel?
I just wanted to welcome Matt back.
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
That was it.
Do you have anything for open forum?
Yes, just a couple programming announcements. The 7:25 request to use Stony Brook Conservation Area for Park Run, that has been tabled to a later date. We're looking to try to find a mutually agreeable time for the requester to be able to be present. And also the appointment with Bobby's Ranch regarding the use of Emmett in the Neshoba Brook Conservation Areas, that's being rescheduled. Was not able to make progress on that, as much progress on that as I had hoped.
Do any members of the audience have something for open forum? Okay, moving on to our other 7 p.m. agenda item. It's a continuation of a public hearing for the Town of Westford Library Department.
I'd just like to thank the Conservation Commission for this continuance of the library review hearing. And we have half of the Board of Library Trustees here. We have Jean Yu from Feingold Alexander Architects, Alicia Monks, our OPM from CHA Solutions, and Janet Bernardo and Adrian from Verdant will be giving the presentation.
Good evening. Do you have our presentation?
I do.
Great. Thank you. All right. We're back for Mass DP file number 334, 1862. You can just go to the next slide, please. And Ellen already introduced everybody. There's Ellen, Alicia Monk from CHA Solutions, Adrian Emmerich from Verdant Landscape Architecture. I'm Janet Bernardo, professional engineer with the Horsley Witten Group, and Jing Yu is behind us from Feingold Alexander Architects. Thank you. Next slide. We're going to just quickly review the resource areas of the existing site, the library, which is right across the street from you guys, the planning board, and their discussion that happened on Monday, the town engineer's comments, update on landscape design, and any questions that this commission may have. So the resource areas again, is this a pointer?
Yes.
What do I do?
Is that the
Hit
pointer?
Yeah.
No.
The silver button.
There you go.
I'm not seeing anything happen.
Okay. Yeah, try this one.
It's the orange button on that.
Orange button in the middle.
Orange button in the middle. So the red line is the 50-foot buffer. The blue line is the 75-foot buffer. And the green line is the 100-foot buffer. And as you can see, you're basically just a corner of the existing parking lot falls within the 100-foot buffer and is outside of the 50-foot buffer for the existing site. The existing drainage is there's a couple of catch basins that are shown in yellow, and the roof drain ties into those 2 catch basins and is discharged out through a 10-inch PVC pipe that outfalls at the wetland edge. We did a smoke test to confirm that this entire, this front corner discharges out to the street catch basin, but the majority of the existing library discharges through one of these pipes to the existing wetland. Next slide. We met with the planning board on January 6th. They did close their hearing. Some of the discussion items included requesting that the final review of the construction drawings is done by the town engineer. He has a few more questions that he wanted to make sure that the plans conveyed. They wanted to make sure confirmation that the town council regarding the buffer restriction, there is a 10-foot buffer restriction, there's a deed from 1987 that is in this portion of the site that is regarding the, putting a landscape buffer for the adjacent property. So there will be some trees that are coming down in this area, as we've discussed in the past, but they will be replenished and replanted in accordance with the deed as it is written. But the planning board is looking for confirmation from the town council regarding that buffer restriction. We will be pursuing drainage easements for the outfall pipes. There'll be 2 outfall pipes in this general vicinity, and the existing drain line that discharges out currently does not have an easement around it, so they'll be going, the library will be going to the town meeting asking for easements for that. That's one of the planning board's requests, is that they pursue those drainage easements. The planning board is also, as would be appropriate, any landscape adjustments, or of course, any major plan changes would go back to the planning board for an amendment. They've also asked that the library and the team meets with the abutter at 54 Main Street. They are the abutter that is most impacted by this buffer zone area, and so they want to make sure that the conversations are continuing with that. And they've requested snow storage signs to confirm that snow is not deposited towards the wetlands on this edge of the property. There are some snow removal areas, so no storage areas proposed, but they want to be sure that nothing gets pushed over there. So we've added a couple of signs from this corner. There'll be a sign over here, as well as 2 signs along this back edge. Next slide. The town engineer has provided several rounds of comments. There's a comment letter dated December 13th, 2024, and we provided a response December 20th. There's been ongoing coordination with the town engineer, including talking to him this week, and the engineering department, both Paul and Jeremy. We have now increased the size of the chamber system to make sure that there is no ponding whatsoever, even during the 100-year storm event in the parking lot. However, the outlet moved, so we originally, which is this commission's most important piece, I think, had it hitting outside the 100-foot buffer. Now it's basically outside the 75-foot buffer. So we needed to angle the outlet pipe a little bit further so that it would definitely be directed towards this off-site wetland area, as it does under existing conditions. But we are putting in this new drain pipe, and they wanted to make sure that with the grading that it didn't somehow go towards the abutters on this side. So he wanted it angled a little bit more so that it would go towards that wetland. The existing drain pipe will remain and will be capturing the runoff that comes from this driveway. The driveway goes into the bioretention area, and then through the existing drain pipe will continue to flow out. It's a much significantly reduced flow than currently, which is the entire site and the building and everything that's going through it right now. So we're just this front part of the parking lot, the driveway will go through it under proposed conditions. The roof runoff will go, and the parking lot runoff will be directed into this subsurface chamber system that will be located underneath the parking lot and discharge out. Then there is a foundation drain all the way around the building that is for in case groundwater gets particularly high. We do not expect there to be any discharge really coming out of this pipe, but the town engineer requested that we separate it from the main drainage system. So therefore, there's 2 pipes laying side by side. One is a 6-inch, and the other is maybe it's a bigger pipe. Maybe it's 24-inch. I should know that off the top of my head. Sorry. There are, because of the increased size of the drainage system, the landscapes changed kind of significantly. The town engineer requested that no trees or shrubs were too close to any of these drain pipes. So there was goals to make sure that there was trees covering up in the parking lot, but because of where the pipes fall, many of those trees had to be removed. There are still a couple that you'll be hearing about, and there's been a couple added maybe. But that did change some of the landscape design, so that will be discussed further momentarily. Next slide, maybe that is
Pipe is 18-inch.
18-inch, okay, this pipe is 18-inch, thank you for checking that. And now we're up to landscape design.
So, as Janet mentioned, we had some pretty significant changes to the planting plan, both to accommodate. I can do it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Both to accommodate the expanded stormwater system, as well as because of the town engineer's request to keep the trees away from the pipes. So we had to remove a couple of trees that were in this central island. And because of that, we added a tree, a Nyssa sylvatica, or a tupelo tree, back here, which is within the 75-foot buffer. And that's the only change that's occurring within the wetland. So I'll just briefly go through the other changes. Just in the interest of time, we had 2 other trees on this island that are becoming much smaller now. We had 2 large trees here that are becoming smaller, and then some trees and shrubs here that just shifted. Some shrubs were removed here just to provide.
Doesn't Mike
Wait,
doesn't
it doesn't.
work for us?
Sorry, never mind.
Some shrubs were removed here and replaced with perennials and ground covers just to provide a more appropriate cover over the stormwater system. And then up here in the retention bio retention, we just adjusted the planting design a little bit to match the civil engineering design. So those are all the changes. And then this slide is just the lighting plan, which has not changed since the last time you guys saw it, but I just wanted to show it again in case there were any further questions about it.
That's it.
That's all.
Comments or questions from members of the commission? Jim?
On drawing C4, Charlie 4, there's a note on the bottom left-hand corner about, at the rear edge of the parking lot, that talks about using an area inside the, maybe the 50, 75, 100, whatever, inside the buffer zone for installation of a retaining wall and overflow pipe.
Yeah, that's, can you go to the site plan?
Yep,
Yep.
it's that right there, yeah.
So, yeah, we want to go to the select board, sorry, yeah, we should mention that, to make sure that during construction, we can put that, we can use the town land on the left side, so to more easily install that.
What?
Just during construction, just to be able to access the wall construction, so that the contractor can get in there and with his equipment and install the wall. It's only a 3.5 foot tall wall, but we want to make sure that it's not library property, it's the town property, so we need to go to the select board.
What retaining wall is it talking about building? Is there a retaining
I'm
wall?
pulling up the actual plan as opposed to.
Yeah, it's a small retaining wall that's along the edge, this
Does that
back
help-
edge.
help prevent snow pushing into the?
Yeah, there's a retaining wall, it has a fence on top of it, and it has a guardrail in front of it. So it will help prevent snow from being pushed there. And now we've added 2 signs that say, no snow storage, no snow,
Signs don't
pushed
usually
here
work
or
too well,
something like
but the
that.
walls work well.
yeah.
Also
The gu-
keeps out cars.
The guardrail, yeah, there's a guardrail, a
That's all-
fence,
that's all
a
I have.
wall.
Matt, did you have anything?
No, we have not drafted the special conditions for this. I was planning on taking a look and seeing what the planning board decision, there was synergy between the two, especially make sure that for both the planning board decision and the, in order of condition, the special conditions and the order of conditions, are asking for the same thing, and we're not kind of making sure the right and the left hands know what's going on. So if there are any other special, would include the town engineer's comments as appropriate, in addition to kind of some of the typical special conditions as included with the special conditions. But outside of that, if there's anything else the commission would like to include, you can certainly do so.
Can I throw one other comment out there? On our notes sheet, like maybe the second or third sheet, originally, this sheet, near the bottom left corner, the town engineer had given a list on his letter of suggested special conditions. So we included them on this sheet so that any, the ones that he said in his letter, we included on this sheet. Then the planning board has other suggested, and obviously you could have other suggested edits. But I wanted you to know that that all those are listed here as, because we kind of assumed that you would accept the town engineer's suggested conditions, so that anybody that's contractors bidding on the job understand what they're getting into.
It's good to have it
If you
multiple
get that
places.
permission from the select board to use their property during construction, you're gonna have to move the erosion control barrier.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, because it should be right there on the edge.
This isn't the area that's being proposed, right? That's just that's where the outfall goes, that's why.
Well, the outfall is here, so we're asking for permission to have that outfall. And then the retaining wall is just along the back, so it's about a foot in from that, or maybe 2 feet in from that back property line. So it's just hard to construct it.
The question is, what are you gonna be using in the buffer zone? It's all gonna be within an erosion control area, right?
Right, yeah, there'll be the erosion control line, and then, so it will have to get pushed out a little bit for them to do the construction
Okay.
easily. I mean, it's more to give the contractor a little bit of flexibility. And he could construct it, or they could construct it where it's, as it's shown, but we thought it would be helpful to give them another 5 feet, if the select board agreed to that.
And the erosion control goes outside that.
Yes.
Are there any comments or questions from members of the audience on this project? So, in terms of when we continue this to issue the order of conditions, the 22nd?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so you don't close and then issue, the next one you hold
Just
it
in-
open?
In the event there's comment, more just to make sure that everything's in alignment.
Okay, if you know of any special conditions that we can have even as a draft to give to the bidding process, it would be helpful,
Certainly.
even as a draft.
Yeah. You should be
Yeah,
able to-
Matt usually sends them out to the applicant to review prior to the meeting, so.
And do you need attendance at that meeting?
Not if there's anything of, I think Ellen could certainly handle the.
All right, let us know if you want us to attend, but if you're just gonna discuss it, then.
We probably just, review, issue, and
Yeah.
then close.
Correct my typos.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to January 22nd? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our 7:05 PM agenda item. It's a continuation of a public hearing for Zom Living LLC, 37 Powers Road.
So I can handle this.
Okay.
So included in the commission's.
Hey,
Included in the commission's meeting packet was the applicant's, council's, letter regarding, previous case law for, which I think the commission received at the last meeting and
did.
deliberated. We have received comments, or an opinion back from town council. It is privileged attorney-client through currently. If the commission would like to waive that, make it public, and then the applicant's attorney and town council can discuss and at the commission's meeting on January 22nd, have both the commission's peer reviewer, the applicant and applicant's attorney here to discuss, and the commission can kind of hear all sides of deliberation at that time.
Sounds like a plan.
That makes sense.
Okay.
So can I have a motion to make public what?
So waive attorney-client privilege of town council's opinion, and, yeah, do it as 2 votes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to that effect.
All those in favor?
Aye.
What was the second was?
One.
Continue.
Okay, can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to January 22nd?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving on to our 7:10 PM agenda item, it's a continuation of a public hearing to amend the order of conditions for Seal Harbor LLC, 427 and 429 Groton Road.
Good evening, Matt Waterman with Land Tech Consultants. I'm here on behalf of Seal Harbor LLC, and on the overhead screen and hopefully in your packets is a request to withdraw this application.
Any members of the commission have questions? Matt? Any members of the audience have any questions? Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the withdrawal of the amendment request?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So now we're on to the continuation of the public hearing and issue of order of conditions for Seal Harbor LLC, 427 Groton Road.
Good evening. For the record, Matt Waterman, Land Tech Consultants, here on behalf of Seal Harbor LLC. They could not attend tonight. Sorry that they could not be in attendance. Since our last hearing, which was back before the holidays and feels like forever ago, was back on December 11th. We went through, we reviewed the project. We had some preliminary comments from DEP. They were mostly technical typo type comments, with the exception of showing the floodplain, which we did update the plan to show. That does not impact the scope of the project. The floodplain was kind of followed or mimicked the limits of the BVW almost perfectly. You can see it's kind of a softer curvy line. And the wetlands doesn't show up there, but if you scan to the left just a little bit, it mimics the edge of the wetland.
You have the laser pointer.
I do have the laser pointer, thank you.
Yeah, there it is.
That would help. So here's the floodplain, here's the BVW. So you can see the floodplain almost mimics it. And it does that throughout the wetland. It's within or inside of the BVW. So the floodplain, I don't think necessarily impacts the scope of the review of the commission. We did, again, we revised it just to correct some typos and grammar in the reports resubmitted to the commission and to DEP. We submitted the withdrawal of the amendment requests. Obviously, we just went through that. Otherwise, we didn't have any modifications to the plans, and would request I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
Any members of the commission have any questions? Matt, do you have any questions?
No.
Do any members of the audience have any comments or questions? Okay, so, does this, so it talks about issuing the orders.
Yes.
Is this the same orders as for the previous filing, or?
It is similar. The extent, the draft was included, I realized it was included in your physical meeting packets, but I don't
Okay.
think I included it in the electronic until I revised it later today. I realized it had been missing.
Okay,
And outside of some of the findings, particularly changing, again, kind of specifying in the details of what they're doing and where, and, you know, some of the restoration. And, one comment I did receive from Mr. Waterman regarding the FEMA flood insurance rate map information. It's that should be corrected to the preliminary FEMA flood rate maps effective June 2023, which is what I think DEP's comments were
Correct.
related to, and is now shown on the plan of record. So that's, again, more typographic, just more non-substantive. But the special conditions in and of themselves are largely the same as what was previously approved for the previous project at these two lots. And would strongly encourage the applicants to make sure they close out all open orders of conditions when no longer, because there will be two orders for these two sites,
Okay.
the two lots.
Do any members of the commission have comments or questions on the order, which I assume is now considered the amended order because of the correction of the date? For the
It would be an order of conditions as amended.
Yeah, order, okay. Any comments or questions on the order of conditions as amended? Can I have a motion to issue the order of conditions as amended?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you
Thank you very much.
Moving on,
Things
things to sign.
Things to sign.
Okay. Moving on to our 7:15
those up.
PM agenda item. Hill 50 Lakeshore Drive South, a minor modification request and a request to work after December 1st.
Hey, everybody, Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Here.
Matt, welcome back and congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you, I sent it to Sierra today. I forgot you were back. I think I copied you on it.
I did. I
All
got
right,
it.
no offense.
No offense.
Okay, good.
Sierra did a great job.
She did a great job. She really did. I should say that on record. She really did a great job. So, you all remember why I was here last time. And I promise this will be the last time I come back. So, I did talk to the client, and I told him what we discussed last time, and he said, okay, we should have asked for this at the beginning, but it's too late now. So what they wanted to do is, so this isn't gonna work, is it? Orange. I'm gonna try to do this again. This is the plan that was approved. So this is the house that was approved with the deck, and those were the stairs. Matt, if you could scroll to the next one. Okay. Now, this is what we discussed we would do last time. So, as you can see, we've gone back to the original deck location, so that's in the same spot. House is in the same spot. We've expanded the stairs, as we talked to you about under 711, so that Mr. Hill can get down there better due to his disability. It's still gonna be true grid. It's just gonna be stone and masonry steps with some granite. And we're gonna keep the row of arborvitae's here. We're just asking for the minor modification. We're not gonna do any amendment to the order, and just keep it simple.
So where there was talk about eliminating the ravine between this property and the
Yeah.
adjacent, is that gonna?
Yeah, that's gonna stay. So this area right here, the neighbor and Mr. Hill, they're just gonna kinda keep the grading going in between them.
So that's not part of, that's not being, there are no changes there that would be considered part of the modification request? or there
Because
are?
that's, the buffer zone is here, so that's technically outside the buffer. That would
Okay.
just be some landscaping here. We did mention it last time, just so that you would be aware, but there's no changes to that. The only other thing we asked for was, again, the weather hasn't cooperated, but we did put in a request to see if we could extend the winter working until, I don't know, Matt, if I have the letter in there.
Close, I think.
February. So the way it's looking right now, where did it say? I'm sorry.
It says February 1st.
Okay, so the way it's looking right now, unless we got a few warm days, he's probably not gonna do the work. I'll let it go until February 1st, and I'll ask him if he wants to come back to ask you if we could, what is technically the official date you can start again, April 15th?
April
April
1st.
1st.
April 1st, all right. I'll ask him, I mean, if it looks like he's gonna get, he says he just needs like 4 days to finish the stairs. If it looks like he gets a warm spell, he could do it in that time period. If not, I'll ask him if he wants to come back. But other than that, he's not doing the foundation now or anything else. He was hoping just to finish up the stairs, but if that doesn't happen, he'll wait till he can do it in the spring. We are currently still doing the once-a-week monitoring. We dropped down from twice a week, which we all said was okay. Do you want to continue doing that, or do you want to
I mean, as,
cease until we start doing some?
I mean,
If he's doing stuff out there, we should do it. If
Right.
he's not doing stuff out there, there's no need to.
right, and if he's not, I want it being stable, it's in lieu of it being, stabilized for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
And, but that, so it's kind of an either or of,
Yeah.
as, and it's,
Yeah, he hasn't,
kind of a choose your own adventure of if he wants to proceed, with installing the stairs, then okay, that time period, I want and then, upon completion of that, it should get stabilized
Right.
because, it's gonna be
yeah,
dormant
Justine,
for 2 months.
Justine's been going by weekly and submitting the reports, but he hasn't done anything in, 5 weeks or so. So if that continues and you're okay with it, we'll just stop doing it, and if he picks it up again, we'll let you know that we'll start again.
Well, is the site?
The site is-
All disturbed areas within the buffer stabilized?
I would say yes, but feel free to drop by if you want to check that out. We've been going by every week to make sure that the erosion control and everything is in place. There hasn't been any erosion. The tracking pad is in, and yeah, he's just been sitting as is, as you can see from the photos that she said. But please feel free to drop by.
So we are in agreement with the minor mod?
Well, right, so that's,
So we're talking, it's two different things
right,
here.
so the two agenda,
Yeah.
on the agenda, there's two, I had it as two things. One being the minor modification, the second being the,
December 1st, April 1st, yeah.
Right, the work within the kind of.
Okay, so basically, this letter here describes the details of the modifications being requested. The
Yes.
stairs, the stone wall, and the row of arborvitae's.
Yes.
Okay. So we have something in the file that talks about what was in the modification request. Jim, you look like
You can
you,
see in the pictures are in our electronic packet, but you could see that there was a silt fence around there they are, a silt fence around the construction area for the stairs, but there's nothing on here, right?
There is erosion control shown on the plan, but we expanded it. See the little dots there going down the side of the, oh, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting I've got this. Right here, Mr. Gotzo. So this right here is where the erosion control was gonna be, and also here, and we wrapped it around. He actually added more erosion control that is shown on this plan. So there is erosion control there.
The erosion control should be everywhere downhill from.
It is,
from the project.
it's all here and
Nothing
everything
shown
around.
there, so,
What's that?
there's nothing shown over there.
Well, see those dots?
Yes.
That's the line
Wherever-
type for erosion control,
Wherever the dots are,
wherever the dots are, yeah.
all the way down the left side,
Yeah,
too.
so the dots come from here, come all the way down the lot line and come here. Like I said, the neighbor here allowed him to work a little bit onto his property, so we actually, we just surrounded all the disturbed areas, so it actually comes onto this guy's property a little bit, but that's what we show in the pictures. But the erosion control is in, and it is working.
so you, while you're doing, while you're putting in the stairs, there's additional erosion control as part of that operation?
Yeah, we had him,
See it in the pictures.
yeah,
Yeah.
we had him add,
Right, so there's that, and I thought there were more. So, yeah, this is the.
Right there, you can see it wraps around the bottom edge of the stairs.
Right, yeah, so it wraps,
Like you were saying, but it's not on the plan.
Well, but-
well, it doesn't wrap back around to the
I
plan.
didn't show it wrapping that far back on the plan, but I asked him to do it anyways.
So this is temporary while you're putting in the stairs. Once the stairs are in and stable, then you will no longer need this portion.
Correct.
This extra portion of erosion control.
Correct.
Okay.
After that, the only thing that we'll need is I showed some erosion control at the top of that wall, just to make sure that nothing spills down.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions from the audience on this modification request? Matt?
No, I have not.
So, I have a motion to approve the minor modification request for this project.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, and now, the request to work after December 1st to February 1st.
I mean,
well-
Well, he's not doing it
For a
now.
practical standpoint, for just, would the commission be amenable to allowing, say, through February 14th, which is after the commission's first February meeting, so give a little bit longer
That'd be
time
great.
period. Again, the site's stable, so
I don't have any trouble with that.
If we do get a 4-day warm period, and he says, I want to do it, I will
And it
notify.
will be limited, the work that would be happening will be limited to the stairs, the stone wall, and not the arborvitae.
No, not the government.
And all in accordance with the plan.
Yes,
In all accordance with this plan, yes.
yeah. So, can I have a motion to approve work after December 1st through February 14th, 2025?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
This is the year, guys, we're gonna get this done.
All right.
I want to know that this has been going on since 1995, so.
Tell me
we're
about it.
30th year. I'm working on a project in Saugus. This is going to be 31 years I'm working on this project. This is a good year, 2025. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt, thanks for the suggestion, I appreciate it.
7:20, moving on to our 7:20 PM agenda item. It's an appointment with Bobby's Ranch about the use of Emmett and the Neshoba Brook Conservation Areas.
and that's being rescheduled to January 22nd.
Okay, moving, so the 7:25 PM agenda item, request to use Stony Brook Conservation Area for Park Run.
That's being tabled to a future meeting when all parties can be in attendance.
Okay, so the new, excuse me, the new 7:25 PM agenda item is a discussion of proposed plan changes for Thompson 18 Dana Drive. Hello, with your assistant,
With my little buddy, yep.
very well behaved.
Thank you. The games help, you know. Okay, so, as requested per our last meeting, we went back and redid the plans here to match what they were previously, but in this version. Again, just a reminder, it was the 126 square feet over that 55 buffer, this section right here. Per the request, we did kind of fix not only the drawing, but we went and made it so it's gonna be permeable,
So
stones.
did receive the notice of intent. So this was the approved notice of intent plan associated with the pool, the fire pit location on, say, plan left. And late this afternoon, we did receive a stamped plan from the applicant's engineer, and in conversations with their contractor, did include the fire pit relocated to, say, the plan right of the pool, included with permeable patio around it. Additionally, they did include a stone, excuse me, proposed drainage trench, and a detail with that. I think it measures 2 feet by, I can do math, that'd be a lot easier. 2.5 feet? 2 feet by 2.5 feet. And my comments when they were, kind of designing that was to make sure that it captured the runoff from the impermeable area around the pool, to make sure that it does get captured and infiltrated, as opposed to becoming sheet flow across
Okay.
across the line.
Any members of the commission have any comments or questions? So from a procedural perspective, how do we handle this?
We have this. So, we have if the commission is satisfied with this, I think if a motion to approve the plan change, I think would
Sufficient.
be sufficient. And then I also know we're looking to, and Joe was looking to start sooner. Did he have?
Yeah, so he's looking for end of January, to start the wall.
And the wall is just so we can make
Okay,
it.
so if, but if we
One
do
at a
the
time.
motion on the, yeah. So can I have a motion to approve the plan change?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yay.
And then the request to work between December 1st and April 1st, you said he wasn't looking to start till the end of January?
Yeah, it's a two-part. So he would like to do the retaining wall at the end of January, which is 8 days. And then in the mid-February, weather depending, dig the hole for the pool, which is 3 days of work.
So my question is this, and I was mentioning this earlier, in the dead of winter, we start digging holes, anything that's living in the ground there is dead. So, while I'm fine with, maybe putting in a retaining wall or something like that, to be digging a big hole in the buffer where things could be living, which I know I'm killing everything that's there, I'm not really in favor of that.
So is this,
But it wouldn't be in the bus.
this currently lawn area?
It's currently lawn, yes.
Is it outside?
No, it's so the 100-foot, so it would be, no closer than, 55 foot going outwards.
I'm just saying,
and the
as a
retaining
matter
wall
of
is-
course, whether it's grass, if it's maintained right now or whatever, if something living under there, it's dead. So I'm not in favor of digging big holes. I don't care if it's in an area that needs to be, trimmed a tree before we're digging a hole, or if there's currently grass in it. I just know that, what's ever there is dead. It's too
mean
cold.
anything
It has no
hibernating?
place to go, so any vole, mole, anything that's living in the ground, salamander, anything that could be there, is just not gonna make it.
So, and your concern is currently with where it's where it's frozen ground conditions,
Right.
and if he wasn't looking to start until
So I'm not, I'm not really worried about stormwater or.
right. No.
Yeah,
Right. And so in terms of kind of the contractor's timeline, you said mid-February ish.
Yeah.
The commission meets February 12th. If and much to Eric's point about things hibernating in the ground because it's frozen and it's 3 degrees out right now, if we get a warm up and things
Yeah, then I'm out, and we've had that before,
can't we
but
look
right
at-
now, it's colder than cold.
right. So
Why
if
can't we look at it February 12th?
right. So in
think
terms
that's where he's
of,
getting.
right. So
Yeah.
yeah. So in terms of so if the commission is amenable to allowing the retaining wall be installed between now and February 13th.
Well, Except we're supposed to get it in writing.
Yes.
Yes. She can do
I
that.
can send.
Well,
I
yeah,
can
we're trying to
forward
figure it
to
out before
Yeah.
she gives us what she wants
Right,
in
right.
writing.
And again, and so in terms of having that, so
That part's not the issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay
Right.
with the retaining
So
wall.
we can do it in stages.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I have to come back for that 12th?
if you have a good piece of paper and a pen and want to request,
Just
Do you want me to email you or?
Right here.
Oh, okay.
just write down.
say, yeah.
Is this a
Eric, how
pen?
does this work? The frost line's
pointer.
about 80 or 60 below?
Sometimes they're wrong.
no.
Less than 4.
Today, it's probably like less than a foot.
Now, okay,
So maybe somebody does an inspection.
so
Are-
if it
are you-
warms up to like 50 degrees, how far down will that go?
So
I don't know how quickly that frost
I
line
spoke
goes.
with the DPW director, just because this is pertinent right now. The DPW director was regaling me with frost lines in town.
Okay.
Oh, what's his thought on the
And, well, no, and he has. There's some area that I think one of the cemetery workers found the frost line about 3 inches down.
Wow.
Wow.
Somewhere else, somebody else in a different part of town, I think they were installing a fence or a signpost.
Yeah.
The frost line was about 12 inches down. So in terms of it's
range.
variable. I'll scan this.
Okay.
So it may not even help. I mean, even
Is
if
that-
warm with 50 degrees. You're gonna feel crazy.
Oh, sorry.
So the pool's probably gonna be like 8 feet
Well, if
down.
it stays warm though, if you break the frost line and they're below it and it stays warm
So
for a while,
can
they're
I
gonna be
have a
able to find
motion?
another place to go. Right now, there's
Okay.
just
It's
no
for
other
the
place
retaining
for them
walls.
to go and find a spot,
Oh,
so.
oh, I thought you wanted the pool written in.
Oh, no. The pool,
Okay.
Sorry. As we get into the time frame when the ground is thawing and you're planning to dig for the pool, just an email back to Matt that with, the time frame he'd want to be doing it and stuff like that.
We'll look at that then.
We'll look at it then. You don't need to come back for that.
Okay.
This is just for your guy doing the retaining wall. Starting the retaining wall.
Thank you.
Okay, so, can I have a motion to approve a request to start the work on the retaining wall, between now and February
14th.
February 14th?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That gives him a good window for whatever the weather throws at you.
Perfect.
And then as things, as things start to thaw out and you're getting ready to dig the hole for the pool, an email to Matt can get that next request on the agenda, and we can talk about it then.
Okay, and sorry, the next meeting you said was the 20, or the 12th?
22nd, we have a meeting the 22nd of February.
Okay.
It's basically the second and the fourth Wednesdays.
Oh, okay.
But, so as, we're approaching February 12th, I'll be in touch.
Okay, perfect. Matt, it's so nice to have you back. Oh, okay, awesome. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on, buddy.
Okay, and there's also a request to work after December 1st by Madan, 6 or 16 Fletcher.
It's 6. There was some confusion in the email correspondence. And this, you're up next. 1 minute. So they've installed, this was the project to do some hardscaping between the dwelling and lake. They've, on the included plan, their request is the area in red. They wish to excavate, run electrical conduit between the structure and the spa, backfill a trench, and install the stepping stone pathway between the two. There also was correspondent, that's kind of, and they anticipate it taking about 2 weeks to complete. So if the commission is amenable to that, again, work request between now and.
Well, it seems like the first part, they wanna do electrical conduit and install stepping stone pathway.
Right, yeah.
And the other is, he have interest in grubbing out slope and replanting. That's not gonna happen right now.
Well, that's
Well,
also,
So, yeah, right, so I wanted, the most pressing was, I think to finish up what the electrical work for the spa, get that installed, finish up that part of, the homeowner, there were discussions, as included in some of the emails about, removing the saplings and the invasives growing on the slope between the gazebo and the lake. And my opinion at this time, you know, outside of it's going to be extremely hard to remove, you know, to manually pull out, you know,
anything, yeah.
and then, you know, in terms of, you know, comments from, you know, by the assistant project manager, you know, grubbing out the slope. Oh, now we're disturbing, and I had, my response was, I would want to make sure that that was, you know, a specific plan for how that was
Well,
to
how are
be
you gonna grab
occur.
it and then restabilize
Well,
it?
exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
at this time.
at this time-
How many times have we seen that problem where it doesn't get restabilized properly, and then we get like a March
Well-
rainstorm or something, and it's in the freaking lake or in the, you know, a resource area, and we're like, okay,
But-
how many times have we gone through this?
But I think one of the cases, but thinking back to the original project review, you know, we asked about invasives, and he said, yeah, there's some along, but I don't know that it ever got to, we wanted anything more than just manually removing the invasives so that we left the remaining vegetation in place to keep the soil stable.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
don't remember talking about grubbing.
Yeah,
and-
yes.
And that's where my concern, and especially, you know,
Yeah.
with the weather and, you know,
Yeah.
it's not certainly the
So
ideal
yes,
time.
maybe on that first portion, but no on the grubbing and all of that.
Yes on the conduit and yes on the stepping
Right.
stones, but that's it.
Yes,
But that's it.
okay.
Right, yeah, and they wanted, again, and, you know, to their email, you know, they wanted clarification. So, you know, and much to my point, if they intend to do this, there should be a full plan, you know, a full developed plan back to the commission about, you know.
About how they're gonna grub and what they're gonna do in stabilization before it right.
What's being removed, how are you identifying, I mean, it's.
Because it wasn't part of the original order.
Right, just to make
Right.
sure that, you know, you know, to your point, it's done right so that we don't have, you know, sand, you know, the sand from the slopes sliding into the wall.
Well, and it also, what is it going to become? Because I think right now it's a naturalized vegetation to keep the slope stable. If, you know, is it going to remain a naturalized rather than a maintained?
Well, I think once we see a plan and we comment on it and we come to an agreement, I think it probably would be. I think if we allow it up to somebody else, it may not necessarily be
Right.
what we had in mind.
Right, yeah, but it just, would we allow conversion from a naturalized to maintained?
No,
Okay. So anyway,
how was that?
Conduit, that's gonna be buried, right? So
Yes.
it involves digging then.
Yeah.
It'd
Yeah.
be Probably.
Yeah, a little trench thing.
About
Trencher.
that wide and maybe
Yeah.
8 or 10 inches deep.
so can I have a motion to approve work between December 1st and February 14th? To do the electrical conduit and install the stepping stone pathway.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
7:50.
Public hearing, the notice. I don't have the notice.
Oh, I forgot to print them.
Okay.
You can read it off the.
So moving on to our 7:50 PM agenda item, it's a public hearing for Morgenstern, 6 Kings Pine Road.
Seven Kings Pine.
I'm sorry. Okay,
Do-
Seven.
say
Well,
six.
Got legal notice.
7-0.
7 Kings Pine Road.
Seven,
well, working on it.
the address is 7. Yeah, that's good. Okay, sorry.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, at 7:50 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the notice of intent application of Jeffrey Morgenstern for the removal of an existing septic system and installation of new septic tanks and construction of a 200-foot sunroom addition and 120-square-foot front addition to a single-family dwelling within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands at 7 Kings Pine Road.
The white one works.
Yeah,
The white
White one works.
Orange button.
Orange, that's great. Hi, guys. Matt Morrow, Morrow Environmental Consulting.
here representing Jeffrey Morgenstern for 7 Kings Pine. The plan is a little bit busier than what the actual scope of the work is. So what we have is a wetland that was flagged, bordering wetland, part of a very large swampy area that was flagged out by Leah Basbanes. I went out and checked the delineation a while ago. Everything looked really good to me, you know, Leah's usual thorough work. So what we have is we have a replacement for a septic system that, my understanding, it's already been approved by the Board of Health. This section is within the buffer zone, which essentially ends right around the stone wall here. This part of the main and the leach field here where they're gonna be cutting the trees down actually is out of the buffer zone entirely. The proposed garage and driveway here addition is out of the buffer zone entirely. The sun porch is within the buffer zone. This 120 square foot addition is within the buffer zone. And this porch roof addition, it's a roof addition, so it's impervious surface, you know, up on the top, is within the buffer zone. That's really the entirety of the work that is within the 100-foot buffer zone. It's been given a DEP number with no comment. My understanding is the need for this 120 square foot is to square off what was a garage here that's being converted to a room, and then a new garage is being built attached to the house.
And also, this did go to the zoning board of appeals and received a variance special permit. They received some approval from the zoning board of appeals for the proximity to the frontage that is negligible.
You mean for the proposed garage?
For this,
Or I see,
Yeah,
well, the
'cause
dwelling
the-
sits right on top of that
addition is
turnaround
got-
too.
right, the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, the cul-de-sac.
The actual layout is very close to the dwelling. I did stop out today. I did agree with the wetland flag locations.
Matt, how close is the sunroom to the wetlands? Roughly 80 feet?
About 80 feet. Nothing goes within your 55-foot zone at all. Your 55-foot zone is actually right here.
Okay.
The line with the dots on it?
That's correct. Where I'm tracing right now.
So the proposed septic and pump tank, it looks like it's within the existing location of the existing, I'm gonna say it's a septic tank, probably not.
That's correct.
Both. So, you know, he's kind of maximum feasible compliance. You know, he's got a portion within, but that was pre-existing, and he pulled the leaching field out of the 100, so it's out of the buffer, so I don't have any real problem with that. Not finding much issue here.
One comment I would have, and certainly can be addressed as a special condition, but erosion controls with straw wattles and, silt fence be installed down gradient of really,
Assuming you have do you have a pre-construction requirement in your order? All right, so if you want to add that with a pre-construction inspection so that you're satisfied, that'd be great. I'd rather have the more eyes to the ground on stuff like erosion control to me, the better. I'm a stormwater inspector by trade too, so.
and one of the other comments, just as I was on site, the roof downspouts appear to discharge to the edge of the lawn. Is there any, again, that side of the house, is there any minimal disturbance?
I can talk to Mr. Morgenstern about that.
See if there's an opportunity to, dissipate or, kind of.
Maybe cut it out, put some energy dissipators down, let it sprinkle
Just
over.
so it's not,
I'll talk to him about it.
Lord knows they were probably, when they were installed, because I think this development was the late 70s. There you go, 60s. So, just try to improve the conditions where we can.
No more questions from the commission? Any comments or questions from members of the audience? So we will need to issue you'll have a draft order conditions for the next meeting. And then Matt will send that to you to review. If you have any feedback, you can give him. You don't,
The only thing I would ask, once the commission issues an order of conditions, if you could send it directly to me, Matt, so I can report it promptly. One thing you guys learn about me in the future is I'm a little OCD about making sure things are recorded. Every time I leave it to a client, it,
Doesn't happen.
yeah, it's not pretty.
so can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to January 22nd? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Right on time.
Moving on to our 8 PM agenda item, it's a public hearing for Verma, 17 Leland Road.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 at 8 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Rubal Verma for the removal of 16 trees within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands and an intermittent stream at 17 Leland Road.
Respected Commission members and dear neighbors, my name is Rubal Verma and I live at 17 Leland Road with my wife and 11-year-old daughter. Following the directions from the Town Conservation Department and as required by Mass General Laws and Westford bylaws, we have submitted a request to the Commission for the determination of applicability as we wish to remove trees within the 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands and intermittent streams. I am here today in this public hearing to answer any questions or concerns, but before I do that, please allow me a couple of minutes to describe how and why we arrived at this decision, which is difficult both emotionally and financially. We moved into our home in Westford in January of 2020. After at least 2 years of home hunting, we were looking for a property where a child can be close to nature and with abundant greenery and wildlife. This home has given us access to places like East Boston Camps and Good Picking Farm, where my daughter goes for summer camps. 17 Leland has not only given us a large yard with a lot of trees, it also has a creek in the back that flows through the back of the house with some beautiful views. Our home has a sunroom built in it that allows, in the main house, which is not good for thermal efficiency, I can tell you that. But it allows us to enjoy the nature throughout the year. The shade from the trees keep our home much cooler in the summers, and we don't have to run air conditioning throughout the season. In the last few years of the stay, we have had our share of windy days. Small and large branches fall all the time, and often whole trees come down in the wooded area surrounding the house. We never interfered and allowed nature to take its course. A couple of such events have even caused some damage to the house, resulting in significant insurance claims. 1 year, a large glass panel on the sunroom broke. Another year, a branch fell on the power line. Once a large branch fell on the driveway from the poplar tree and missed the car. That was lucky. But unfortunately, in the latest incident, and as you may have seen in the pictures that I submitted, a very large tree way back in the wooded area fell towards the house and took down 2 other trees with it, one of which fell on the shed and caused more damage. Personally, as someone who loves nature, this was an eye-opener. It gave me a preview of nature's force, and I started to think about the safety of my family and home. Hence, I reached out to the Conservation Commission, and after some research and town's guidance, I invited an experienced professional arborist to assess the trees around the property. He helped me understand the symptoms that I was otherwise ignoring, like mushroom growth, excessive leaning, and top-heavy poplar trees that grow fast and break easily. His assessment has been included in the paperwork that I submitted. And as I wrote this message, I looked out the window and at the trees moving in the wind gust, and I felt worried. As a kid, I read stories how people in India led a conservation movement in the 1970s to stop deforestation by hugging the trees so they can't be cut. Asking for permission to remove the tree goes against what I have learned. if we go through this process, next spring, I will make every effort to replenish the removed species in the same vicinity. Through the photos and the conservation plan map, I have provided a detailed description of the small and the large trees that are already dead, fallen, leaning, or at the risk of falling. I thank you all for providing the opportunity and your time to review my request.
Questions, Jim?
Two remarks. One, there's a couple of trees that are outside the erosion control, but I suspect the erosion control was just left over from the septic installation years
Well,
ago.
the plan,
Five and
we
six.
used the septic plan just because it
That's
was.
what I figured, so you.
Okay.
Didn't
They're long
understand
gone.
that. Okay, there looked like there were plenty of other trees in the area from the photographs, and almost all of these trees are pretty small, which is a good time to get rid of them.
What about like T6 and T5? They seem to be well away from the house.
There's a shed back there. Is that where the shed is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's
shed
leaning,
is,
they're leaning towards.
Not on the map, on the plan.
Yeah.
I can't.
So I stopped out today, and again,
There's-
and certainly if there's ever a time to review.
Oh, yeah, windy Tuesday.
Yeah, no,
Windy
yeah, it was a
days.
windy day.
Yeah.
And certainly did, saw they were all marked with the little flaggers tape, and so easy to identify. And between the dead ones, the ones that were falling, and then T5, T6 here, certainly was exhibiting tropism, growing into kind of the open space where the house was.
But is it an oak? Is it a pine? I mean, I
It's
can
not
have
a pine.
a leaning oak is gonna still be a very strong tree. If
It-
that was a leaning pine, I'd be more
I think
concerned.
to the applicant's point, this was the one that was exhibiting the mushrooms on it, and that the
Okay.
arborist was concerned about, because there's now moisture in, at that location, and again,
I'm just saying it's,
So maybe a butt log?
if you could scroll down to the last image where I show the growth behind the house. So what happens is like this, like you said, this area is like completely covered by trees. It doesn't get grass doesn't grow in this part right there. It's all like moss. So you're right. The trees are dying there.
Oh, so is, so that's where, is that where the trees are the birch, the white, little
So the
white?
birch are the small ones.
the birch these are the birch.
They're heavily leaning on the on.
Okay.
oh yeah,
on
well, the
elevation.
birch are no good, so.
They'll come down quick.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
So Matt, you've been out here and you're okay with this?
Yep, I think they're all, again, between the ones that had previously fallen and are currently snagged in other trees, I think they're.
Speaking of snags, any potentials for,
I do,
as, Noel said, like a butt log here or there, or?
I think there are some, especially where there is a dead poplar kind of right. It's located far. I think it's one of the in
Yeah.
Is
this.
this the same tree company that did Tadmec that we have the issue with? I see Tree Masters, but I don't see the top of that. Is it New England Tree Masters that did the
I would.
work at,
Yeah.
because I don't want to run into the same situation we just ran in.
Right.
Go all the
and-
way
I
to
mean,
the-
and so I mean, in terms of
Go all the way to the
they're-
top, is it,
they're-
is
yeah,
it, 'cause
it's
it's,
doing-
yeah,
yeah.
see, it's,
And it's,
and those are
you
the
know-
same guys.
Yep. I mean, so currently they're marked with little
I get
tags.
it.
And, and in speaking with, the property owner today, they're clear, they're clearly identifiable. Also, over clearing costs him more money, so that only the ones to be, the ones identified are the ones to be removed.
Well, I'm almost thinking we don't allow, I think we should be hauling these these tree people in here and, we're still trying to figure out how they so grossly screwed up,
Right. I mean, so-
on the
and-
other property, and I don't wanna see that ever again.
But also, is that on them or is that on the GC?
So,
I think it's on them, for not asking questions and not,
Okay.
and being so close to the resource area and just going ahead and going at it.
Okay, so let's have that discussion at that agenda item.
No, yeah, I get it, but I just wanna make sure that, if we agree to this, 16 doesn't become 32, because, well, geez, we were out there and we decided we'd go and do this and
No,
this
I-
might
it's-
work.
And I can certainly
No,
follow up,
Sorry.
immediately, I can, communicate to, A, let me know when it's occurring, just so in the event I get phone
Yeah.
calls about,
Could you,
concerned residents.
Because once it happens,
Could
it
you go to the
happens, and
plan,
there's no
please?
going
Sounds like
back.
he's pretty
So-
concerned about the trees.
if you
Yeah.
focus
Yeah.
on the,
You or me.
Okay,
Eric, if you focus on the numbering there, some of them are like TD and DF, and like T6 and then numbers. If you please scroll up a little bit, so D means dead, F means F is fallen, and T is tree. So I've like identified each tree, marked it, and
No, and that's good, and I think you did everything the way you're supposed to.
And-
It's just, we've had some issue with this particular company, maybe going and doing too much, and I don't know if the other place was as well marked out or not. But, I just want to make sure that what we're agreeing to is the only work that is going to be done.
well, I can assure you of that. They won't be touching any tree on my property without my permission.
And you're willing to replant new trees?
Yes, yes, that's the plan. Yeah, not in the winters, but in the spring.
and we'd want to see, the replacement trees would be native species, they don't have to be the same kind, so you can choose something that's not going to grow as tall.
Yeah, I was like, I asked Matt, like, along the fence line of the house, can I can plant like beautiful trees so that the road is a scenic road, so I can make it more scenic. But Matt's idea was like to put it back in the similar vicinity and not outside, so I'll do that.
Well, and actually, if you wanted to plant more trees, I don't know that anybody would say no.
Oh, I would love to. Like,
I just
If
don't
you
want
want
any
plant
more
trees
cut
along
down
the
than what we
scenic road,
agreed to,
just
that's all.
talk with me first, we want to
okay,
make.
like if the
scenic
town
roads have their own
funds me a little bit, I can
Yeah.
plant trees.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, so, conditional negative?
Yes.
Questions from the audience?
Yeah, that's true too. So any more questions from members of the commission? And nothing more from you. Any comments or questions from members of the audience? Okay, can I have a motion for a conditional negative determination of applicability?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. So Matt will be in touch with the paperwork.
Thank you.
Thank
Well
you.
said.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so moving on to our 8:05 PM agenda item, it's a public hearing for Urban, 14 Wilson Farm Road.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, at 8:05 PM, in meeting room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of All Urban for the removal of 3 trees within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands at 14 Wilson Farm Road.
All right, hello, everybody. I'm Paul Urban. So basically, I have stop on that one. I have 3 pine trees in the back of the house that they've shown some insect damage, so they're like hollow. I had the arborist come by from Iron Tree Services, who I've been working with, and he looked at them, and so there was some sawdust along the bottom of one. The next one on the left was bifurcated, so he was worried about that one. It was kind of aiming directly at the house. All of these can reach the house. And then the last one also had some damage. There was some woodpecker stuff, but it also, he knocked on it, and it was very hollow at the base. So those are the 3 trees that I was looking to take down, and I can also replace with something else as well. I think I've talked to Matt.
But there's woodpecker habitat already there,
Yeah.
do we wanna do it?
Yeah, maybe we can cut these into.
There's a lot of down trees. I stopped out Monday, just on the other side of this stone wall, which is the property line. there's a lot of down trees, whether it's deciduous or pine. I did speak, about the potentially leaving some, and I know you were kind of reserved against it. But with that being said, there is plenty of, there's also plenty of live pines back there for the woodpeckers to go. Yeah, go find food. So I don't think it's critical that they be left, again, there's.
But definitely tree and not bush back.
Yep, yeah.
Something that's indigenous that he can pick out, but,
Yeah,
And
30
something that doesn't grow so tall. Well, no,
That
you're
you're
not.
worried about.
Yeah, not so tall.
Okay.
Matt, you've got a list of plant species that he can look at, so some of them.
Yeah, we'll have to do a little, I think, our office may have to do a little bit more homework and try to find one suitable. Again, this is the south edge of the property, so it's very shaded, and so finding a shade tolerant tree,
Maple is shade tolerant.
yeah, but
Yep.
find something that
Yep.
suits is suitable as opposed to, picking something and hoping it actually,
Yeah, if you're gonna go for
putting
the work.
putting the wrong tree in the wrong spot.
Okay.
There isn't a lot of room, that picture's not great, but there's not a lot of room. Maybe you can kind of see it there, so there's grass, and then there's that line of trees, and then there's all these little, I guess they're poplars, I'm not sure what they are, but they're all
Saplings.
saplings are all within there, so to plant a tree, I'd have to, that's the only spot I have to plant, so I'm like right up against the wetlands, so the wetlands are in the
Property
back,
lines.
yeah. So I'd have to pull those little things out to put something in probably to make it, if it's gonna be successful.
Well,
I think,
and-
but I don't know.
I don't know if you need to pull the little saplings out around to plant something else.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, but having been through 35 years in a location, one of the things is all those little saplings do really well when they're all really little. And
Oh,
then
I
they
know.
all try and grow up and they compete, they all die.
Yeah, okay.
So, it's,
But our goal isn't to
no,
have additional clearing.
no, but it just, well,
You're forcing it in a way.
you mean by planting a tree, you're,
You're making a choice with your saplings.
no, you're not planning to pull the stumps, you're just planning to cut
Cut the tree down
at ground level.
at ground level, yeah.
So, yeah,
I mean, typically, we don't want people clearing out stuff to plant a tree.
correct, if it's not invasive
So,
plants.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
just, it doesn't, typically we tell somebody, plant a tree, in proximity to the one that you're removing.
There are lots of trees right in those pictures.
So there's
Other than
really
the
no
tree.
opportunity to plant new trees.
There's a lot
Is kinda what I'm
Other
hearing.
trees that we're not touching.
Yeah,
They are.
okay. So, and short of starting to encroach into the lawn, there's no place to plant new trees.
I think we could do without
Okay.
added trees. There's
I
plenty there.
agree,
There's
I
lots
agree.
there.
Any
It's rare, but I agree.
okay. Any comments or questions from members of the audience? Okay, can I have a motion for a conditional negative determination?
So move,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
so move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So Matt will be in touch with the paperwork.
Okay, thank you.
Very much.
Good night. Thanks.
Okay. Moving on to our 7:10 PM agenda item.
8:10?
I'm sorry, 8:10. Continued public hearing, no, it's a public hearing for English Properties LLC, 7 Carl Thompson Road.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, at 8:10 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the notice of intent application of Walter Erickson, English Street Properties LLC, for the clearing of vegetation and installation of a parking lot, retaining wall, and utilities associated with the development of a new commercial industrial building, portions of which are within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands at 7 Carl Thompson Road.
Good evening, Matt Waterman with Land Tech Consultants for the record. On the bookends of your meeting tonight. I was here earlier and now I'm here at the end. Representing English Street Properties LLC. With me tonight is Walter Erickson. And we're here for a project that we have been permitting with the the planning board recently. We went through site plan approval, a couple special permits, and we were aware of a wetland in the back left corner. And then during some of the site walks, Walter has been out, and we noticed that the wetlands kind of extended further in a kind of parallel fashion to our property line. And so after the site plan, we kind of discovered this in the last week of our site plan review. We went out and had the wetlands flagged and are here tonight for a notice of intent for a small portion of work located with the project. Carl Thompson Road, it's off of Route 40 on Groton Road, near Greystone, Russell's Way. It's an industrial park that I think was built in the 80s. Lavelle Machine Shop is at the entrance on the right-hand side. This project's all the way at the very end. There's a small driveway that drops down and goes back to a existing commercial building that's kind of been sitting abandoned for a couple of years. It was a fraternal organization with a 2-bedroom apartment on the second floor. We're here tonight for a new commercial building and the associated resource areas. The resource areas are shown, they're kind of along that southerly edge of the plan. It is bordering vegetated wetland. It was flagged by Norse Environmental and located by our field crews. And it's for a wetland. It actually drains to the south and east and goes underneath Oak Hill Road and towards Gilson Brook. Where we're so close to Nab Lake, you would think it would kind of drain to the south, but it actually drains more to the east. This is kind of the headwaters of the wetland, or the end of it. There is no floodplain associated with this, even with the new mapping. I know Gilson Brook does have some new floodplain mapping, but this tributary does not. There's no natural heritage. There is a certified vernal pool to the north and west on an abutting piece of property. It is more than 300 feet from our limit of work. We are in a zone 2, and as we just said, we're in the Gilson Brook watershed. The proposed building, if you want to go maybe to the next slide, is a 24,987 square foot commercial building. It's comprised of 6 units. Parking is about 139 spaces. We did green bank or asked the planning board to not build all of them. They have us use kind of the most restrictive or the most conservative parking requirements so that any tenant that comes in the future has adequate parking for that land use. But with that, we typically, especially in zone 2s or in the war pod, we do ask to green bank some of those spaces to minimize impervious areas, impacts to the abutters, and kind of, I think everyone kind of expects it with the war pod areas. So we do green bank 40 spaces. So we go from parking from 139 down to 99. You can kind of see them. They're the white parking spaces closest to the wetlands on that westerly end, and to the north and west.
Pointer.
The orange.
I do have the pointer. I don't like the green one, but I love this orange one. But the green banking these parking spaces along this edge. Carl Thompson Road is on the upper right of our plan. There's a single entrance that circulates traffic around the building. There's kind of offices on the northeasterly side, office kind of doors and parking, and then more commercial grade garage doors on the backside with parking for each of the units. The percent impervious for the development is approximately 42%, with 58% being open space or lawn area or existing natural area wooded habitat. Stormwater, we did have extensive stormwater. It's been reviewed and approved by the engineering department. It includes 2 different infiltration systems, one at each end of the building, one that's underneath the parking lot, and a second one that's kind of behind the back left of the building. It is a closed drainage systems. We treat all stormwater up to the 100-year storm event. We reduce peak rate of runoff, reduce the volumes on site, have all the adequate BMPs, including pre-treatment, infiltration, the adequate recharge and water quality calculations, TSS removal, phosphorus removal, groundwater mounding calculations, and of course, soil testing. We've done probably close to 20 test pits just for stormwater out here. And additionally, we've done some for a septic system as well. So we do have kind of a good understanding of the groundwater elevations. We work in the buffer zone, which is why we're here tonight. You can see the 100-foot wetland buffer kind of comes along this back corner and then along this edge here. It's roughly about just over 5,000 square feet of wetland on site. That's not the wetland off site, that's just the wetland area that's on our property. We do have a little stem of land that goes out to Forest Road. We don't have any access out that way. That's where the wetland area is. The buffer on site, the area of buffer zone that's on the property is just over 23,000 square feet. We only disturb about 7,600 square feet of buffer, or about 33% of the buffer. The majority of that is greater than 75 feet to the wetlands. We have no work within the 50-foot buffer. The pavement is about 85 feet from the wetlands. So the amount of work within the buffer is limited. And the amount of pavement within the buffer zone is just over 1,000 square feet, 1,125. So when we had done this project, we did have that wetland. That was the A series to the back. We had committed to Matt that we would stay outside of that. Thankfully, that paid off even with this additional wetland area, because we were trying to stay away from that kind of bottom left corner of the project and preserve as much of that natural buffer as possible. Our goal was to stay outside of the buffer, but unfortunately, we do have a small encroachment. Be happy to answer any questions.
Matt, is there any wall or anything at the very edge of the property?
There's, and I didn't get into the landscaping and buffering. I think it was back kind of with the site plan. There is a series of walls and landscaping berms and fencing. If you zoom out just a little bit. So we do have residential abutters that are on Forest Road to the closest house is actually in this upper left corner. And so we do have plantings, evergreen plantings, provided for turning movements and headlight glare that would be directed towards this house.
So is this all residential around this?
It is residential to the northwest and south. We have commercial building here directly to the north.
Okay.
I say north, I'm saying like plan north, but
yeah.
not magnetic north. This is an existing industrial building off of commercial, and then there's another parcel here that's not developed, but it is zoned industrial. It's actually currently used as residential, but all these other properties are residential to kind of to the west and south and east.
I didn't know if this had been residential and converted to.
No, it was part of that industrial, when they built Carl Thompson, this was one of the ones. It's just kind of an odd shaped lot at the end of the cul-de-sac where you transition back into that residential A zoning district. But we do have a fence, a stockade fence that goes all the way down along the bottom. We have the evergreen plantings for the house on Forest Road. And then there's a house on Betty Lane that sits close to this corner. So there was a lot of effort to put plantings in through here. There's an earthen berm that we also developed that's 20 feet wide, 4 feet tall, to help screen the project to the
And then you're
abutter.
planting the trees on top of the berm, is that it, or?
Correct.
Okay.
We weren't able to carry that berm all the way around, but so the berm is kind of on this end of the plantings, and then this is just plantings.
Traffic circulation one direction only?
No, it is two-way. It's 24 foot wide. I tend to think of it like a rotary though, where you would kind of want to go counterclockwise, but that's the engineer in me. But no, it is two-way traffic both directions. The retaining wall, there is a retaining wall down here that's preserved. So there's an easement that runs from the end of Carl Thompson Road all the way through and out to Forest Road. There's drainage that drains Carl Thompson Road towards the wetlands, and then there's a water line that the water department has that connects the water system on Groton Road to the water system on Forest Road. With that, we're going to make improvements to the drainage. We do extend, currently the drainage pipe kind of just ends, and it almost goes uphill before you get to the wetlands, so it was really close to being built properly, but it was just a little bit off, and so we end up extending that pipe to improve the drainage system for the existing pipe that exists in this right-of-way. And with that, we do have a small retaining wall that is along this edge here.
Is there anything to prevent, the snow plows pushing snow onto that section?
There is not. We do have, I think the site plan does have snow storage kind of, around the edges of the parking area. That's that darker shaded area. A lot of these areas, it is kind of up gradient, or there's a kind of an existing berm where we cut into it. In this area in particular, down here by the wetlands, it doesn't have that. Once you get past this berm here, it does kind of drop off towards the wetlands. So we do have a swale that runs along this whole property line to help divert the runoff, linear down towards the wetland area, consistent with that drain pipe. So it would not be going directly to the wetlands, it would be kind of following that channel that we provide to the west.
But if the snow on the paved surface is plowed up into the snow storage space, if there are any pollutants or anything that have been picked up from the paved surface, they're bypassing the stormwater treatment, right?
They would be, yes, if the snow plow was to, if the snow was sitting on the paved area, surface area, and then getting plowed up off the pavement.
Do you have a rough idea of the square footage of that snow storage area?
I don't.
I'm just wondering if
No,
it's...
you know at the end of the day, you're gonna need to accommodate the snow storage.
We could do that.
Or at least show us on the plan, and ultimately, we're gonna need to make sure that whoever plows it puts it where you want it.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is because you're taking it off the pavement, if you plow snow off the pavement and put it onto
A surface that's right, it's not
permeable.
part of that enclosed stormwater
right,
drainage
you're
system, yeah.
losing the ability to treat that eventually melted snow.
Yep.
And whatever pollutants it's picked up.
Yeah, and the way this is shaped, the plow is just gonna come straight here and dump it all there. They're gonna drive straight down there, push it all here.
No, and I think we expect, honestly, a lot of the snow storage to be kind of straight back.
Or because
this
there's
larger
along
area.
that, well,
And this area and through here, we could certainly come up with a creative
Just
solution.
designate it so we know where it's supposed to be.
yeah, but, well, that was part one. The other concern that I have is if we ever have another snowy winter, if the accumulated snow exceeds the storage capacity of these areas, what's the plan for the site in terms of dealing, you don't want them just finding other places to put the snow. It's, what's the plan to deal with more snow than those storage areas can contain?
Well, actually, that's probably what they would do, is they would ship it off. If you
Well,
got
ship
too
it
much
off
snow,
or find other
I'd
places
go
to
find
push
another
it.
place to dump
Yeah,
it.
and we do have areas here also as well for snow
Yeah.
storage against the building. But I guess I would defer to Walter, and I know they do manage a couple properties in the area, and
Yeah, we have some of the buildings, and I don't know, it's about 10 or 12 years ago where we had that major snowstorm, where we had 4 feet of snow, and we did have to hire contractors to truck it off-site.
Okay, and it just, because when you talk about long-term maintenance plans, is having verbiage in there that gives the contractor direction what to do you know, so it makes it explicit to them, you know, that it.
That we have a
excess should-
location to push it, and we expect it to be put in that location.
Or trucked off-site
Right.
if the existing locations are full.
We can do that, we can post signs.
I was gonna say, most-
Yeah.
So that.
Okay, but it just, yeah, is down the road, the guys responsible for keeping the site clear know what to do when there's excess snow. Noel?
One of the question, what's the gradient here? So if there's water in the, you know, on the paved surface, will it flow towards the resource area?
It does, everything kind of, once you get past, there is kind of a natural berm that is in between here and the wetland area, but
Okay.
there is kind of a low spot down in this lower corner where the wetlands is, so this kind of all does kind of drain to
By the
that
same token,
southwesterly.
any gasoline or whatever is on that thing, you know, would drain into the
Any pollutants that get pushed off the paved surface onto the grass
drain, they would, yeah.
would either infiltrate or they'd be washed toward the wetlands.
We can double check the grading and or provide signage or both
Okay,
to kind of focus in on that area within the buffer zone,
okay.
certainly.
I saw mention of a long-term pollution prevention plan.
Yes.
Just dotting i's and crossing t's. Are all tenants expected to sign an acknowledgement and agreement to comply with that plan?
Yes,
I'll defer to
we'll put it in their leases.
Okay, and then one of the other, reading through the construction period plan, you know, there was a lot of detail about MSDS for, you know, hazardous materials, et cetera, that are on-site during the construction phase. And I wondered, not knowing what kinds of businesses are going to be in here, is there going to be a requirement that if their business uses products for which there are MSDS sheets, is there any requirement to have that information available someplace on site should police, fire, or anybody need to respond to an incident here? So they know if there are any hazardous things that they need to be prepared to deal with.
Yes, we make sure that, well, typically we don't allow hazardous materials other than cleaning supplies and normal materials that people use, even paint or some solvents. But we do put that type of verbiage in our leases.
Okay.
And we would make sure that we have the MSDA sheets available.
Okay.
Or they'd have to have, I know the Westford Board of Health has the hazardous material bylaw. With, I know like some of the automotive places, we've worked with them to help develop a plan initially. So anyone that does have hazardous materials would have to be required to
Okay.
get a hazardous material permit with the Board of Health.
So there's a plan in place that should there be anything like that on site, and there's, fire department has to respond, and they're using water to put out a fire, there's already enough knowledge of what's going on that we don't have to worry about those chemicals potentially being washed into the wetlands.
Yep, and I know with this being in a war pod, a lot of that's kind of prohibited uses anyways, like automotive and
Okay.
that type, but it would get caught with the hazardous material with the building permit. But like Walter says, I think a lot of the uses here are kind of more standard, not household uses, but, you know, not users that are coming in with 50-gallon drums of
Okay.
materials that we would not encourage in the zone 2.
Okay.
And we have floor drains for all the units that go to holding tanks. So there's just like you see at the gas stations, the trench drain with the grate, every garage door has that grate that goes to a holding tank at this end and a holding tank at this end. They're double-walled tanked with alarms, with leak detection, and it's not pumped by the local septic haulers. It's more of a Clean Harbor pumping, so there's that prevents anything is being used that gets trapped.
Matt, do you have any questions?
I had, just for confirmation, I know during the planning board's process, the fence, I know I asked for a panel, you know, every fourth panel or something like that to have kind of a wildlife access, was that ended up?
I don't remember it being,
Yeah, that would just,
we
again,
could certainly
where,
make sure that we do that or provide the 6 or the 4-inch gap at the bottom or whatever.
right, just
you-
something for, wild, so again, especially where there is the screening, the stockade fence for screening along this, the, certainly out of some of the wetland buffer, but,
And it goes a long way, that
right,
fence, so we'd want to have it.
have some kind of escape avenues.
We would not have any issues with that.
Any comments or questions from members of the audience? So at this point, it's just a matter of drafting an order of conditions? Okay. For the next meeting? Or,
We'll provide a plan with signage or somehow clarifying snow storage in the buffer zone.
okay,
Whether it's an amendment or revising the plan set, it might just be a snow storage plan.
okay.
Works.
And so,
can draft
continuing to the issuing orders on the 22nd works for you?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to January 22nd?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you on the 22nd.
Hopefully it won't be so cold then.
I don't want to jinx anything. Okay, moving on to our 8:20 PM agenda item. It's Yang at 88 Tappac Road. Okay, so we'll start with discussing, and do we want to do the enforcement order or the amended order of conditions first?
I think the enforcement order first, because that's kind of its own separate, in and of itself outside of, the amendment for
The septic
the septic and
drainage.
drainages. So we've included in the commission's meeting packet was a draft of an enforcement order. Of particular note is the findings and the findings, the violations, and the ordered portion prepared by our office. We sent that to you correctly?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. Just blur of a week. And so I know the commission is looking to, it was discussed at the commission's meeting in December. We're just gotten around to scheduling, a site visit for the commission to stop out and, actually see the on-the-ground conditions in the next couple days prior to snow, the whatever snow we end up getting. And, so I think some of the finer details of it, I don't know if we'll be able to kind of
Finalize.
I didn't want to use the same word twice. Finalize until, the commission has a sense of, the actual on the ground. But, I, look to the commission for thoughts also, Robert, you as well, kind of get a sense of, and we've been in, our office has been in communication with the abutting property which was encroached onto within the buffer. And so, that's a component that's tied into the enforcement, or, what is ordered, in terms of some restoration on that as well. So Commission, I'd like to start with you to get comments, thoughts, just from the order or any pieces of the findings to.
Just a couple of questions. On page 5 of the findings, the first page of the findings, was page 5 of the packet. Right about in the middle, it talks about the Deschaines had hired a surveyor who came in, and should we include anything about the name of who the surveyors were?
I
Or is that gonna?
thought we,
I don't know where this is gonna go as a, some kind of an official record of the of the event. I don't know if this.
Yeah, so at the
Tensions
last
between
the
parties.
last sentence of that paragraph does include that we received the plan of land that was prepared by Allen and Major,
That's the,
the surveyor that was hired by,
okay.
right.
And Stamsky and McNary agreed that the Allen and Major work was correct?
That was in the
That-
minutes.
Just said they conceded.
I mean,
But that's it.
and that's, I mean, if that's the better, I mean,
Verbally agreed,
We-
that,
If we have nothing in writing, we can just leave it the way it is, because it talks about verbally,
again, I think that was in the meeting.
survey lot
being
line
discussed.
location was conceded by was conceded by Stamsky and McNary as being accurate. That's in the middle of the paragraph.
right. That's it, verbally?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where this is gonna go. If this is the end, if the enforcement order is the whole issue and it gets resolved in the next week, we're all set. But if there's some kind of court issue between the parties, this would be valuable information if it had all the data. You know, if it's
Well,
just-
I mean, I'm looking at this as, you know, the enforcement order is the commission, you know, seeking mitigation, restoration of
Right.
the,
And we're accepting the second survey as being accurate.
which is also what they've included now on their, you know, their plans going forward. You know, they've picked it up, I mean, or they've picked up the stakes of the lot line.
And they actually, based on the, based on the plan of land by Allen and Major Associates, Stamsky and McNary revised the septic location and some of the drainage location to relocate it so it was now completely on the 88 Tadmuck property.
But do you want us to finalize and agree to this before we do
No,
our
no,
site
no, no,
visit?
no, no, no.
This is
Right,
just draft
Right,
for
again, you know,
discussion, yeah.
this is certainly a unique situation in
Yeah.
terms of drafting and, you know, drafting and preparing an enforcement order. So, you know, getting thoughts now, again, having the site visits, and then, you know, at the next meeting, again, you know, where there is, you know, the public hearing that will likely, you know, would be continued, you know, there's another, you know, we'll be discussing the
Yep.
So
total
what you're
project.
looking for is if
Comment.
people have comments, and I will jump in, because in looking back at the order of conditions, I also, you know, two that stood out to me was condition 31 states that the order of conditions shall be reviewed with and copy provided to all contractors working on the site involved with landscaping. Any other plans not consistent with the order shall not be on site. And so my question then becomes, what plan was provided to Tree Master, by whom, and who provided the order of conditions to Tree Master as a contractor and reviewed it with them so that they had a very clear understanding of what constraints were in place? So that was,
Yep,
that
sure.
was one condition where I,
We're just looking for a little additional information.
yeah, but it's something that we spelled out that appears not to have been followed. The other one was number 34, which states that an on-site manager who shall be responsible for full compliance with this order. The trees were removed not in compliance with the order, so that on-site manager was not doing what was stipulated that the person should be doing. So those
Fair
were just
enough, oh yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
other conditions that,
Can you repeat the numbers, just?
31 and 34.
Sometimes. Right, and some of that may be just if we can get more information, you know.
Yeah.
Us getting an answer as to,
Well, but some of it is, and Eric and I have been on the were on the commission in the days when these conditions came about because copies were not provided.
Yeah.
Copies of the order were not provided to contractors. Latest plans that were inconsistent with the approved plan were on site for people to use. And so these,
We've heard about that, yeah, and it'd be like, oh, yeah, but we had this plan, and it wasn't the final plan, it was an interim plan, and we went off the interim plan.
yeah, and so, you know, these conditions were put in place because of problems we'd seen in the past. So, you know, those
That's
were,
our fruit, yeah, you
Those
know,
are-
we'll
those
continue
jumped
to
out
look
at
at
me.
these and finalize, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but
let's
yeah.
do the site visit first.
well, but some of it also is, you know, if things occur to you, feed those details back into Matt so that, he has, you know, the different people's perspectives.
And I can include it for the commission's next meeting, and I'm not rewriting on the fly, which
Don't,
So, yeah.
don't.
always is the case.
It's never good.
Robert, anything on your end?
Yeah, just one thing, under the special conditions violated, I'm not sure we violated number 14 with the change, as a change to the plans occurred without inquiring to the commission. I think that had come up at the previous hearing where that was about the conservation post locations. We had set them on the 30-foot buffer zone line initially, and I neglected to realize that we needed to allow room for the maintenance of the tanks and water lines, so we ended up, I think what had happened is at the final meeting before issuance of the order of conditions, I had verbally expressed that we needed to change those locations, and I'm not sure if it was included in any language in the order, and that might be what the issue was.
I understand that, and so the enforcement order is strictly related to the vegetation removal with which was not permitted, because again, you can start pulling on different threads. And as I was drafting this, the importance in my mind was focusing on not getting distracted, and in terms of, you know, I saw the change of the plan occurred without inquiring to the commission whether it was significant enough to require filing no notice of intent. The letter from Tree Masters, which was previously provided, you know, talked about, you know, the removal of these additional there was, you know, 2 line items of, you know,
Right,
and
okay.
that is the essence of the change that wasn't, you know, inquired to the commission, you know, had it been inquired, you know, talk about so that is the change to the plans, you know.
Okay.
You know, 13, the work didn't conform to the plans because, you know, you said you were doing X, you know, and Y happened. But 14, the change that occurred, the change to the plans was the additional trees with which were removed, and it, you know, is shown and documented in that Tree Masters, you know, saying, here's this line item, but here's this other work that we're going to do.
That totally makes sense to me. Then yeah, other than that, you know, there's nothing we disagree with in the order. I had a chance to review it with the applicant, and we didn't express any other concerns with this.
With regard to condition 33, which is disturbance, is, prior to any disturbance on the site, the applicant or representative shall submit the sequence for review and approval. And did that plan with the dates, approximate dates, et cetera, was that provided?
I'll have to go back and look.
Okay. You know, because that's, again, another check and balance that we have to make sure that things are happening according to the plan. Okay, so we have site visits,
Yeah, a couple, and again, in terms of, I don't anticipate them taking long, especially with the temperature being the temperature that it is, you know, I think we'll be efficient in going about. So and I'll send you, you know, again, I can make sure that here's where we're looking, here's, you know, kind of make sure plans and copy are available.
Is now the time that we'd want to, in terms of getting people on the same page with who's showing up on Thursday and who's showing up on Friday?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so Eric, you had,
Who's showing up?
Potentially tomorrow, or, no, because tomorrow you want to do it at 4.
Yes.
And Friday's like 10:30 to 11, or whatever.
in that late morning
Right,
window.
yeah, in terms of.
Thinking I might miss it,
Okay.
but you don't have to have me there.
Oh, we'd love to have you.
Oh, I know you do.
As the most senior member.
Yeah, no, I get it. Maybe, I potentially might be able to make it tomorrow at 4.
Okay. Yep. Tomorrow at 4?
Yep.
Jim?
Make Friday.
And I am, so Friday, what time do we want to do Friday?
Anytime I can do Friday.
It's a heat wave Friday, so Friday's gonna be the best day.
Is it? So,
30
Matt, what time?
It's
10, 12:30, what time works?
10:30.
10:30? So Jim, 10:30 on Friday? Noel, you're gonna be 10:30 on Friday? Ann?
I think so.
10:30 on Friday?
Okay.
And I'm 10:30 on Friday.
Okay. No, I guess I'm just meeting you, or in.
Maybe Eric.
Tomorrow,
Here.
yeah, and maybe
Okay.
tomorrow, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Would you like me or someone from my office to attend as well, or?
What more would you add? And I don't mean that in a, you know what I mean? I don't want to waste your time.
I know, I just wanted.
You know, it's like, God,
No,
you know.
I'm not by any means offering myself, as in I want to go, but just out of curiosity,
Right, yeah.
Is
so
there anything
I think, again, I can shepherd everybody
I mean,
around.
if you wanted to hear our comments, then by all means, you know, but I think you know the breadth of our comments at
Right,
this point.
no, I don't see any reason why I need to be there.
I think one of the things, though, is we're there to make sure everybody sees everything, but really the comments should be a lot when we're back here in a public forum.
Should be.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you want, I mean, by all means, you know, show, but don't think that it's mandatory.
Right.
You know,
Okay,
Because we'll have that conversation again here.
yep,
if Eric cannot make it tomorrow, I'll move stuff around for Friday, so you don't do 2 visits.
Okay.
Because it's only the 2 of
Yeah,
us,
I mean,
right?
again, it's the end of the day for me, so I'll meet with you. And
If you could have done it later than the day on Friday, we could have all done it on Friday, but you're just doing it too early on Friday for them.
town meeting changed, town hall changed hours, sorry, yeah.
That's right. It started that early.
So, okay, great,
Okay.
no, I know who's meeting
Okay.
at what time.
so is there anything more for the draft enforcement order?
Did we want to hear
Yeah.
input from the abutter who's
So,
been patiently waiting?
So are there any comments or questions from members of the audience on the discussion of the draft enforcement order?
Good evening, Ronald DeShane, 86 Tadmuck Road. So are we looking at possible fines down the road, or?
That is clearly a possibility.
Yes, and any discussions of fines would be happening in a public meeting.
Yeah.
Which would probably be on January 22nd.
We wouldn't be having that discussion on site.
So, okay, plus you'll be doing the site walks, and then that all goes into, for the next meeting.
Yeah,
Correct.
Okay.
okay.
What about the culvert? Will that be addressed?
So that, what do you mean by the culvert?
You mean,
Under the street,
Mhm.
where it's pretty well been plugged up. My neighbors called a few times at 85 to have it, see if they could clean it out, and the town has told her that, the highway department's told her that they've all hit them, and there's been a lot of backup. We have torrential downpours there. It's running down her
Okay,
driveway,
so
along her driveway.
that's not related to this enforcement order, correct?
No, but it might be an issue of.
Right, I mean, so we're again discussing the amended order of conditions, which, you know,
Okay.
they're
But yeah, Sierra
relocating.
had put a work order in with the DPW.
I can check on that again.
And, yeah,
I haven't
and
approved it.
Matt will follow up to find out, yeah, that she did reach out to DPW about it.
Okay.
We'll get the status of where that is.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm all set, thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Jingqi Yang of 88 Tadmuck Road, and I just want to say, like, I'm absolutely all for, like, the enforcement order, like, having me plant trees for the, like, as a part of the restoration. I just want to, like, kind of explain, like, not make excuses, but explain why this happened from my perspective. And it's like, I'm pretty young, like a new homeowner, and just, like, trying to move here. I honestly did not know about the whole concept of like having to ask for permission to remove trees and stuff, and like planting trees if you ask. So when like Tree Masters had came to my house and like said, oh, there's these trees that are by the street, they're on the slope, they're dangerous, and then those trees like by your house, they're also dangerous. I said, oh, I didn't even know that was an issue, that could be like dangerous. So I was kind of freaked out. So they said, what do you want to remove those? I said, yeah, sure. From that, it sounds like they didn't see the enforcement order. I know like the communication with Tree Masters went through my septic contractor, so it's possible that they never got it. But I know that they did get the designs. And for the other trees that were removed, I know there was like one that's really into the buffer zone, and they said that, like, I think part of the issue is a lot of the stumps are already there, and it's hard to tell which of them came from them or not. But they said, like, we absolutely did not move our machinery, like, over the barrier, because that'd be, like, insane. So they, like, don't claim responsibility for that stump and some other stumps as well. They, like, said, we didn't touch those, and I didn't remove any trees as well. So, yeah.
And, yeah, and did you, so the only contractor that you're working with is your septic contractor?
Right, and he's the one who then, like, called Tree Masters and had them do the job.
So, yeah, so part of this may be that, if he's the one coordinating with contractors, the order of conditions requires him to provide copies of the plans and the orders that say what you can do and what you can't do to the contractors, so that they would have that information to know what work was permitted, the fact that this was all within the buffer zone, so that there are regulations and processes you have to go through to do stuff. So it sounds like that was where the breakdown in communication was, that I think we would be looking for whoever you're dealing with to deal with the other contractors. That's the person who's supposed to make sure that everything's done in conformance with the work that was approved. Okay.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we have the site visit scheduled. We'll have a further discussion at our next meeting on the enforcement order, and then now we have the public hearing to amend the order of conditions for the septic and drainage changes.
Yeah, we can talk about that real quick.
I think we need to read the public hearing notice.
Okay, oh, yeah.
And I'm getting there.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, at 8:20 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request to amend order of conditions for Jikui Yang for changes of the approved plan for installation of a new septic tank and leach field and drop inlet and drain manhole, including shortening of septic pipes and relocation of the drainage manhole and conservation posts within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands at 88 Tadmuck Road.
Excellent. Yeah, so the plan we had submitted, I'm sorry?
Name for the record.
Oh, sorry. For the record, my name is Robert Melvin with Stamsky McNary, representing the applicant for the amended order of conditions request at 88 Tadmouth Road. So we've submitted a revised, what we call a partial as-built and construction revision sewage disposal plan. It is essentially the same plan that we looked at the last hearing, as far as proposed work to shorten the septic system leaching field lines, as well as to remove the existing mini manhole. I'm sorry, not remove, but to replace the existing mini manhole onto the subject property, and as well as to shift pipes and other septic components onto the subject property. So this plan highlights all the proposed changes in red, as well as the...
If you want to use the pointer, it's the orange button.
Yep, so we're really focused on this corner here. Everything you see in red is what's going to be changing, so we're looking at lines 1 and 2 of the leaching field. The poly barrier here is going to be cut at an angle with this red line here. There's a raised connection between the lines that will be fixed. Here we have the current location of the mini manhole, and right here is the proposed location. We're also showing a revised pipeline here. And I believe that is the extent of work. We've also provided, we've sent our survey team back out to the site to go ahead and locate any and all stumps that were on the site currently. I know there's been a bit of debate about, a few of these may have remained on the site, but there was really no way for our office to differentiate that at this point. So, like I said, we located every stump that we saw out there at the moment. And then just to clarify a few things, the solid black dots shown on this plan indicate trees that still remain on the site. The trees that have been X'd out and are a bit shaded, if you will, those are trees that had been called out to remove originally, were removed. And then any trees with just a circle, no hatching inside of it, that is a tree that had been removed and had not been called out to be removed on the plan.
Is there anything still in the ground that indicates where the corner of the property was on the previous plan, so that we kind of have a frame of reference? If we're standing there, we see the stake now, which says this is the corner lot. Is there anything that would indicate where the corner lot was believed to be when we reviewed the prior plan?
Do you mean physically on the site now?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. If it would be helpful, we can arrange to have that done.
I'm just wondering if that's helpful in terms of, we now know where the corner is. This was, in terms of understanding what we're seeing, knowing where that corner was when we were reviewing the plan. I don't know.
So, Robert, in your estimation, say this 18-inch pine tree, because I think that's the closest, or I guess that 12 inches the closest, but up at the road where, most of the work had occurred. What's the distance so if this, sorry, God, get out of here. So if I could have the laser pointer, just one second. So this distance from here to here is 11 feet, correct?
Right.
And that's the minimum. So if this is 11 feet, this is approximately 10, 12.
But it wasn't the line wasn't a straight shift.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying in terms of where, so in the field now, there's a stake located at the corner here.
Right.
There's a stake that was located at the back.
Yeah.
And maybe one in the middle as well. So in terms of, kind of working off of that line in terms of, activity on the abutting property, it's within 10, 15 feet, Again,
Okay.
these, this pine is a fairly significant landmark. Even, when we go out tomorrow, this manhole is a, fairly close to, kind of, so while I certainly understand, what your thought as to where the lot line was previously thought to be, it is still 10 feet. It's not,
Okay.
or it's somewhere in 10 feet, again, because they hadn't cleared onto, and I can certainly, go ahead. And has the Board of Health reviewed this septic plan?
Yes, the Board of Health has reviewed this plan, and they are okay with the changes. I believe, I'll have to double check on this, but I believe it was more of a verbal thing rather than,
I can get something in writing from them.
So did they have to get some type of variance, or is the offset from the leaching field to about 10 feet, or I thought it was 20?
I'll get something from I wonder if it's 10 feet with a point barrier.
Yeah, I don't know, but I
but I'll get something from the Board of Health, again, as, they are the experts on septic stuff.
the leaching field is 10 feet to a property line, and that, yeah, we've maintained that with this redesign here.
With this amended order of condition, are we going to have to modify the special conditions at all?
I'll have to look. I'm not, I did not review those in advance, or,
Well, and it just, in terms of thinking, what's going to be on the plate for when this is continued?
Yep, so at first glance, I don't see there being too many special conditions that would either A, need to be revised, or B, added for this scope of work, but also I would anticipate including findings as opposed, as to why we're issuing, this amended order, kind of documenting the why, just because sometimes
If we don't, it'll become the new standard.
well, or historically with some amended, I end up having to play detective and figure out what happened, why are we doing this?
It's easier just to write it down
It's
than to
easier to
try to
record
guess
it
later on.
when
Yep,
it's
no.
fresh, okay.
Right, and so that may be kind of the substance
All for
of it.
documenting.
But I'll have to go through
Okay.
see what about that.
So
If he still needs to review it, then we can't finalize this.
well, and, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's a lot of, so yes, I think if he's got to review the orders, and there's a couple of things that he wants to check with the Board of Health and stuff like that. So, are there any comments or questions from members of the audience about the request to amend the order of conditions for the changes to the septic on the plan? I just have to ask. So, we want to continue the enforcement order discussion to January 22nd. Does it make sense to also continue the public hearing for the amended order of conditions to January 22nd? To keep
It
it
makes sense. How booked are we now?
We didn't get too many new, we only got 2 septic replacement filings for that
The
meeting.
22nd?
So,
I just don't want to overload the 22nd with additional,
No, but I think, I think with.
No, this is fine.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that
No,
as.
I mean, we moved everything to the 22nd, but, I think a lot of it's going to be closing and wrapping up.
Okay.
Or especially some of the other stuff, I don't see there, I don't.
There's 4 that was continued, there are 4 that have been continued to the 22nd, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 that closed, so we're cleaning house.
Good, okay.
No?
Related, but to Eric's point, should we have the tree masters come in and explain?
I wonder if,
This is not the first time.
my thought was regarding the contractor, the subcontractor that was hired. and was acting as GC, or you know, who was, that's the
person
That's the
giving
guy we
direction.
gotta call out?
Yeah, I mean, and I've, again, to the property owners, you know, kind of circling back to the previous discussion, with the property owner saying tree master, I think it would be hard to determine who, you know, I mean, there's aerial imagery I can certainly look to see, and, you know, in this location, again, you know, what was cut and, you know, kind of in what time frame, but, you know, if things were cut by a previous owner.
Yeah.
Right, so, you know, you know, it's he said, she said.
Yeah, but you
And-
know, if are the stumps there? Because if it was cut in the past, you know, it would be, the stump would look a lot older than
Right,
a stump
that's
freshly
something I
cut.
plan on looking at tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what we're
But,
looking
you
at
know,
tomorrow,
in
yeah.
terms of, but in terms of kind of the discussion, you know, I don't know with tree masters if it becomes, I would rather have with the, you know.
This is not the first time. About a few months back, we had someone else come in.
But also, this is, when we look at the conditions that were violated, those are all conditions giving direction to the person overseeing the contractors.
Yep.
You know, is, you know, and if he wants to take it up with the subcontractor he hired, that's one thing, but that's the person that we're looking at that says, it's your responsibility to make sure all of this happens
Actually, it's the
according to-"
homeowner's
Well, yes.
responsibility to make sure, because if we find somebody, it's not gonna be them, it's gonna be the homeowner. And then it's the homeowner's recourse to go after that contractor.
Okay,
And it clearly is probably, you know, at some point, we're gonna discuss that, but
Mhm.
yeah. And then it'll be the homeowner's recourse to, you know, deal with that with their contractor.
okay, yep. But yeah, and it just, we don't want to ripple down too many layers in who we
No,
deal
we're
with.
not there yet.
No, okay. So can I have a motion to continue the public hearing for the amended order of conditions and the enforcement order discussion to January 22nd?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay,
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, and we already took care of the 6 Fletcher Lane request, so now we get to move
Discussion.
on to the discussion and action items.
And with my limited time coming back in the busy bee that has been Westford, I haven't really made too much work on any of the.
So let's just head to the minutes.
Wait, I appreciate your attitude. I do want to discuss the Permanent Extension Act.
All right.
The state legislature and the governor signed a economic development bill. As part of it, they automatically extended any valid land use permit, including orders of conditions, RDAs, orders of resource area delineation, that were valid between January 1st, 2023 and January 1st, 2025. No action is required by the commission. My intention was to send an email to the valid permit holders, just letting them know, and hopefully in the event, you know, they have an idea, they're aware of it, and, you know, we don't have panicked, oh my God, my permit expired, you know, but it does this does with Grace Community Church, where they had gotten COVID tolling, and then it ended up lapsing, and now, you know, as I've seen one state a representative from DEP call it, they're now zombie order of conditions because they've come back. So I'll be sending a letter. I'll include it in the commission's next packet, but just wanted to have the discussion and make everybody aware.
Is it 2 years?
2 years, automatically granted. It's easy math, I can.
No days, Matt, no
No.
days.
No, that's
no
okay,
day
I just
counting.
wanted to make sure it was 2 or 3.
Change the year.
Thank you.
Okay, so, moving on to the minutes for December 11th, 2024. Any comments or questions? I did have one, under 8D Donato Drive. on page 5. Thank you. It's also written in my comments, but yeah. So anyway, there's a sentence describing the tree removal company's recommendation, and after that, based on the logic for why we approved these 6 trees are located between the edge of the lawn and the wetland resource area signs to document that these were not trees that we said could be removed. These were not trees that were in the resource area where we said this is going to be undisturbed. These were trees outside of it. Just so that it doesn't appear that, you know, the thing was put in place and then the homeowner comes in and, you know, that these were trees that hadn't been identified as being left undisturbed, if that makes sense.
To be left undisturbed.
To be left undisturbed. These were outside that line of demarcation. And I think, Jim, that was your point that you had brought up, is, oh, here are the signs for the wetland resource area, these trees are outside it. Therefore, you know, while they're still under our jurisdiction, they weren't in the area where we said we want to leave this undisturbed. Oh, okay. I remember because that point, I had missed.
It was last year.
It's in your head, Jim.
I had missed those little symbols that said wetland resource area signs, and you saw it and said, oh, but the trees are outside that. And it's like, oh, yeah. So, thank you. But anyway, so that was my only change.
Gotta put that one in writing.
I did put it in writing. I sent it to Matt. Matt's been busy this week.
That's December 11th.
So you're looking for a motion to approve the December 11th meeting minutes
As
as amended?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye. I was gonna say it, but I let you do it.
Okay. Meeting minutes for the virtual meeting, December 27th. This is just the regular, non-executive portion of it. Any comments, questions, changes? Can I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes for December 27th, 2024?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.